So, when you hear the name Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, what picture pops into your head? I'm willing to bet it's a lonely road, a single bare tree, and two guys just waiting. Endlessly, it's become this iconic image of despair. But what if I told you there's another way to see it? An ancient lens that could change everything we think we know about this play. Well, let's dive in. Let's go. And then, in parentheses, they do not move. This line, right here, is the whole play in a nutshell. It's this perfect, brutal little snapshot of paralysis, where the will to do something is completely disconnected from the ability to actually do it. And that is the knot we're going to try and untangle today. Now, for a long time, the standard take on this play has been through the lens of Western existentialism, thinkers like Camus and Sartre. The idea is that it's a reflection of a post-war world where God is dead, meaning has completely collapsed, and really all that's left is to endure a pointless existence. But that's just one side of the story. So let's try something. Let's shift our whole perspective. We're going to leave the familiar, gloomy landscape of post-war Europe and travel somewhere else entirely. We're going to the ancient battlefield of Kurukshetra, which, if you know, is the setting for one of the most important spiritual texts ever written, the Bhagavad Gita. This is where a totally new understanding of Godot can start to take shape. And that leads us to this really radical question. What if the tramps' despair isn't about the universe being meaningless? What if it's about them completely misunderstanding their own role in it? What if their paralysis isn't philosophical, but spiritual? On one hand, you've got Western absurdism. It's all about a linear path that, leads to nothing, a dead end. But Indian philosophy, as laid out in the Gita, offers something totally different. It's about a cyclical path, not towards an end, but towards spiritual freedom, or moksha. And that contrast, that is the key that's going to unlock this whole thing for us. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to break down the play's biggest themes: despair, action, and time. But we're going to use three incredibly powerful concepts from the Gita to do it. This is where the play really starts to open up in a new way. First up is this word vishada. Now, this is not just being sad, it's a deep, profound spiritual crisis. It's that moment when your whole worldview shatters and you are just left completely paralyzed, unable to act. It's what the hero Arjuna feels in the Gita, and if you ask me, it's a perfect diagnosis for what's ailing Vladimir and Estragon. But here's the crucial difference. Arjuna's crisis is active. He's paralyzed because there's too much meaning. He sees the terrible weight of his actions and actively begs for wisdom. The tramps, on the other hand, their crisis is completely passive. It comes from a total lack of meaning. They're stuck in that first stage of Vishada, and they have no idea how to get out. So that brings us to the next big idea, karma yoga. The Gita says that action is just part of life. You can't avoid it. The path to wisdom, then, is to act according to your duty, or dharma. But, and this is the most important part, you have to do it without being attached to the results of what you do. It's all about the action itself, not the reward. And this is where Vladimir and Estragon just get it completely backward. All their little routines, playing with their hats, messing with their boots, they're not doing any of it as a duty. They're just killing time. They're totally 100% obsessed with the result, Godot showing up. It's the polar opposite of karma yoga, and it's exactly why they are so spiritually stuck. All right, let's talk about time. In the Gita, time, called kala, isn't a straight line that just ends. It's more like a giant cosmic wheel. It's always turning, a cycle of destruction and renewal. And every single turn of that wheel is a new chance for growth, for spiritual evolution. Now, in Godot, time is cyclical too, but it's a broken, nightmare version of it. Yeah, the tree sprouts a few leaves, so we know time is passing. But Vladimir and Estragon? They learn nothing. They barely remember what happened yesterday. The wheel of time is turning, but their consciousness is stuck in neutral. They're in a loop that goes absolutely nowhere. So all of this leads us right back to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? If we look at the play through this spiritual framework, can we finally figure out who or what Godot really is? Okay, so what if we've been asking the wrong question all along? What if Godot isn't a who, but a what? He's not some guy with a beard who might show up tomorrow. He's an idea. He represents the very thing they are waiting for. So, what is that really? Well, one really compelling idea is that Godot represents something called phala, which basically means the fruit of action. Their entire existence is defined by waiting for this prize. And what does the Gita say? That this exact attachment to the fruit, to the outcome, is the source of all our suffering. Just look at them. They're miserable because they're waiting for a reward they've done nothing to earn. Or here's another way to look at it, just as powerful. Maybe Godot is Maya, the great cosmic illusion. He's the distraction. He's that promise that, oh, tomorrow everything will be better, which keeps them from ever having to deal with the reality of right here, right now. He is the ultimate carrot on a stick, and they never stop chasing it. So when you put it all together, the picture becomes crystal clear. Godot isn't a savior. Godot is the trap. He's the external hope, the illusion that keeps them from ever looking inward to find the strength and meaning that's already inside them, what the Gita calls the Atman, or the self. As long as they look outside for salvation, they'll be stuck on that road forever. So let's tie all these threads together. What's the ultimate takeaway here? What's the big message we're left with when we see the play through this powerful new lens? This table really just lays it all out, doesn't it? The Gita teaches nishkama karma, right action without attachment to the result. In Godot, their whole lives are about waiting for the result. The Gita teaches dharma, or true duty. The tramps have invented this false duty of waiting, and it just makes them miserable. The Gita warns against maya, the illusion that an external force will fix everything. That's their entire belief system. And finally, where the Gita offers moksha, true liberation, the only escape the tramps can think of is suicide, a tragic, tragic misunderstanding of what freedom really is. And you see what this does? It completely flips the script on Waiting for Godot. Suddenly, it's not a bleak, nihilistic play about how life is meaningless. No, it becomes a deeply spiritual, cautionary tale. It's a powerful warning about what happens to us, to our souls, when we choose to just wait instead of act. Remember that line from the very beginning? Let's go. They do not move. Now listen to this quote from the Gita. Perform your obligatory duty because action is indeed better than inaction. I mean, could there be a more direct answer to their paralysis than that? The way out was right there the whole time. The answer isn't to wait, it's to act. And in the end, the play kind of becomes a mirror. It stops being about two tramps on a lonely road and starts being about, well, us. It shows us what a soul trapped by its own inaction looks like. And as the play ends, they're still waiting. They're still stuck. But for us, watching, the question becomes much more real, much more urgent. We've seen the trap. So, what will you do?